Are you ready for store shelves to start emptying across America again? Because what's coming might make the pandemic look like a warm-up round. You see, experts are now using a phrase like extinction level event to describe what's happening, and no one seems to be ready. Not the stores, not the governments, and more than likely, not you. So in this video here, I'm going to talk about why the U.S. China trade collapse is already slashing our supply chain and how it's going to affect your everyday life, and why this crisis isn't just about empty shelves. It's about jobs, inflation, and national resilience. And this is something worth talking about. All right, so I want to take a quick minute to share some thoughts in reference to just the concerns that are starting to surface from the mainstream headlines, especially on the fact that we are now perhaps weeks or even a month or two away from experiencing something that we haven't experienced in almost, 4 or 5 years now, since the whole pandemic thing took place, where people started racing to stores trying to get as much of everyday necessities that they could. And then we found ourselves in a very tight and unpleasant environment, of which the words hoarding became common language as more people began to scramble for a little small knickknacks such as toilet tissue and all things of that magnitude. But because of this tariff war, aka trade war underway right now, and the possibility of supplies being cut off, it looks like it might be brewing again this summer. So I want to break down a couple of thoughts I have relevant to the subject matter, and also, of course, get your opinion. So if you guys are interested in this type of content, then definitely drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on what you're experiencing or what you're expecting. And then as always, if you find value, make sure you subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and then take this share so more people can get an alternative perspective as to what's really going on here. But first, the collapse, for the most part, has already started. So it's not coming because it's already here, in my opinion. And so container bookings from China to the U.S. are already down, reportedly about 60%. So think about that. So 6 out of every 10 shipments gone. Then you have Flexport, one of the largest freight forwarders on earth, is warning this is no ordinary dip. You see, their CEO called it, and I quote, an asteroid wiping out the dinosaur kind of event. So, but instead of dinosaurs, we're talking about small businesses, supply chains, and everyday working families. And so imagine a grocery store that gets 70% of its stock from a global pipeline. Now I picture that same pipeline rusting shut in real time. So that's where we're at right now. And so the big box stores, they still got about a few weeks of inventory on hand, but the mom and pop shops, well, they're already on life support. And then the second part worth mentioning is the fallout that you're not seeing yet. So if you think it's just about Chinese electronics or discount furniture, think again. It's everything from auto parts to medications, from kids' toys to everyday groceries, are all things that we depend upon being brought to us, because once again, we don't make much here in America. And so when warehouses shelves run dry, the ripple effects starts to begin. So at first you have price rises, then options begin to vanish, and then layoffs start. So it's not just about buying things, it's about people who depend on these things to live. Take, for example, in Southern California, where nearly 1 in 5 jobs is tied to the ports. So it's already bracing for impact. You got truck drivers, then you got dock workers, then you got warehouse crews. And the list goes on and on, people that are all interconnected with the logistics, supplying us things that we usually take for granted. And then you have cities that they live in, such as San Pedro, you got Long Beach, you got Riverside. So they're all feeling it first, but they're more likely you're going to feel it next. And so this is a supply chain breakdown with a bullwhip effect. So you got the jerking back and forth across every part of the economy that I'm referring to here. And so unlike the health situation we experienced a couple years ago, this isn't some freak of nature. This is a man-made event. It's policy driven and it's deliberate. And so the next part is the fact that there's no quick fix to none of this. So even if a deal is made, even if President Trump reverses course tomorrow, which of course he won't, it wouldn't fix the problem that's already underway because it's already too far advanced to actually pull some of this back. And so supply chains don't just reboot and the flipping of a switch, put things back in order. They take months, sometimes even years to recalibrate. And that's what logistics experts are screaming about. So the time lag is brutal. You can't undo months of stalled shipments and closed routes in a single press conference. And so Trump says he won't back off, and we don't have no reason to believe he will. So China says they won't be coerced into trying to play America's game. So meanwhile, we're caught in the middle of a geopolitical game of chicken, with our wallets, our jobs, and our basic necessities of everyday goods hanging on balance. And just in case you thought this couldn't get worse, Trump just slapped 25% tariff on most foreign-made auto parts as well. So think used car prices were bad before, then, buckle up. And so literally we're staring down a global trade war right now, and the battleground is your neighborhood store. So the longer this goes on, the more it spreads. And by the time it hits your wallet, it'll be too late to prepare. So once again, just taking a minute, sharing with you what is really happening behind the scenes here and how the damage has already been done, and there's no way of reversing course. So literally between now and the next few weeks, if you know something is taking place, you might want to take precautionary measures and do the best you can to try to get a hold of some things that you're going to be needing between now and then. Because by the time the average person finds out what's really going on here, you better believe it's going to be a mad dash, and the line's going to be long, and the stores are going to be loaded with people scrambling for last-minute necessities. So once again, taking a minute to share my 2 cents on this matter, curious to hear what you think. And as always, I don't want to bring you this information in a doom and gloom type of way. This is a possible reality for the most part, because the supply chain is telling us what we should expect. So in the meantime, all these events are going to end up impacting the economy severely. Therefore, expect more market volatility, i.e. with stocks and bonds and all the other instruments that we've been told are wealth are going to also go through a correction phase as well. And so that's why there might be a more likely or severe drawdown on all financial assets. But then again, that's when it's always good to have some dry powder on the side that allow you to take advantage of the opportunities that will come about, because there will be a fire sale of all types. And so more so, what is your strategy? What are you looking to grab a hold of at a discounted price, expectation of it going back up in value, or if not taking off once the Federal Reserve decides to get involved and cut rates, and then we're off to the races as far as the amount of counterfeiting they're going to create as far as the currency. So once again, just encouraging people to stay tuned, stay locked in, keep eyes on what's happening out here. And as always, look for opportunities amongst all this confusion that's going to come about in the next couple of weeks. And so as always, for those who are interested, I always like to recommend some strategies and possible suggestions. I'll put them in the link description down below. But of course, it's for me getting directly involved in the silver industry, where I believe it is the most undervalued asset. And so that's why I'm always extending an invitation for people to join the silver team. So if you're interested, become an active member of a silver community and automate your way to help others do the same and be rewarded for your efforts, then click the link and go to mysilverteam.com. And then, of course, there's the gold notes, which allows you to get 24 karat gold notes as well. You can get those at buygoldnotes.com. So once again, there's more of those options down below. Check them out in the description. Other than that, curious to know what you think. Drop a comment, and I'll catch you guys later.